What's happening, everyone? Snoogans 460 here. Well, after an unfortunate mishap that recently occurred to me this past Sunday, I'm obviously feeling compelled to share my jolting experience, which thankfully was caught on film. Uh, even if just one individual can ultimately take something beneficial from this video, hey, maybe they can take some preventable measures and avoid becoming a victim of circumstance themselves. Uh, I'm going to show this clip, and then afterwards, I'm going to give a little brief commentary about the whole situation. Like I said, if you want to hear that, just hang on after the video. Otherwise, you know, take the video for what it is. Unfortunately, I became a victim to some, unmarked gravel that on a road that's always been paved, and while taking a little leisurely ride this past weekend. So check out the clip, and if you want to hear more, stay tuned. I don't know where. Unreal. This gravel just came out of nowhere. Snoogans 460 back again with a little post video accident commentary. Uh, where to even begin? Well, with the riding season beginning to near its end here in Wisconsin, I naturally decided to go for a little ride in the late afternoon, early evening before it got dark out on this particular day. The night before I just been out cruising the city streets, and I don't know, on this Sunday I just found myself looking for some nice country roads to cruise around on, away from, just heavy traffic and all the nonsense that you have to respond to in an urban warfare environment. So whatever, the ride began as any other, and took my somewhat familiar route through these country back roads, and eventually I ended up on a common street, which I had taken plenty of times before. Heck, I think I had just actually been down that road a few times within the past few weeks. So, I'm cruising along and began approaching a minor intersection, which you can see from the video, and I was planning to take a left turn, and I'm slowing down at that intersection and getting ready to make this left when I just immediately got ambushed by a thick layer of fresh gravel without any warning signs whatsoever. There was nothing that said like loose gravel ahead. There was no, frickin' orange cones or just anything that could construction related. Seriously, just freaking pissed. I mean, this freaking road has always been paved and has pretty much been a fairly smooth shot the entire way. Plus, it clearly didn't help that this gravel was basically the same color and as the paved area of the road that I was originally coming from, so it blended in like this deceiving manner. Plus, factor in the early evening, like near sunset on the horizon, while still wearing my darker shades. But you got to keep the sun out of your eyes somehow. So whatever. The more I replay this scene out in my head, the more mind-boggled I am about the whole scenario. So whatever. When I went down, my first thought obviously was to ask myself, like, why the hell did I just go down? You know. After being smothered in a cushion full of gravel, however, I, immediately put two and two together. The irony of the situation, though, is that the same element that put me down is basically also what saved both myself and the bike. After all, it's like landing on a coating of freshly dropped gravel acted as a buffer between myself and the concrete road. Well, I don't know. As you can see from the video, it all happened so quick, and I'm just thankful there were a few people that came to my attention to make sure both myself and the Ninja were okay, the bike. It's crazy, when you're put into a perilous situation of any sort, both your body and mind just instinctively know how to react, even if you are going down. And when I did go down, I immediately knew I was perfectly fine after hitting the ground going, I don't know, I think I was about cooking along at 10, 15 miles per hour, so I wasn't going that fast. Bike just slid out from underneath me while turning on that gravel. It's crazy because it's like I was naturally more worried about the condition of the bike than anything else. I cared about myself, obviously, but since I knew I was all right, I was like, screw it. So whatever, I hopped up almost immediately, brushed myself off, and just began assessing the situation. Of course, once I realized the unmarked gravel, which began at that specific intersection and covered the entire road for the next mile, had been basically the glaring culprit of all my agony. Obviously, my initial angry reaction was to say, why the hell weren't there any construction signs or cones warning of the upcoming danger ahead? But after having a quick discussion with one of the nearby neighbors, thankfully rushed to the scene, we both agreed that calling the city to get road signs out there the following day was, basically mandatory. It was basically a mandatory course of action. I mean, the last thing I wanted was for another rider to ultimately suffer the same fate or worse. Whatever the case may be, a few older gentlemen helped me lift the bike upright, and thankfully the damage was fairly minimal. I mean, she's all things considered, The left side fairing, the plastics, they'd been gashed up pretty well. Just kind of scraped off the decals, and the knob on the foot peg shifter snapped off during the impact, but everything else seemed to remain intact, and the bike started just fine. And myself, I just, my left kneecap took a decent blow to the pavement. There were just a few small minor scrapes on the knee, nothing major at all. Otherwise, I was able to ride away from the scene, even despite the shift peg being busted. Anyhow, thankfully my father drilled a hole into the shift lever, and we secured a bolt wrapped in electrical tape just to act as a substitute. Gotta say, it basically functions better than the standard default one. Other than that, I plan to fix the cosmetic damage over winter. In the meantime, it's really not worth spending the dough or having my bike out of commission for any longer than what's needed. So, as long as she still rides, that's all that matters. Bottom line, as far as bad things go, I really managed to luck out big time. Yeah, screw that. I feel truly blessed by the good Lord. Don't get me wrong, there's absolutely nothing fun about taking a nosedive into the pavement on a bike, but hell, if it's gonna happen, helps when you're able to ride away from the scene relatively unscathed. Even after a full day even after a full day from this accident, my adrenaline honestly is still pumping. I don't necessarily feel spooked by the whole fiasco, just definitely rattled a bit. Yeah, gravel's just such a freaking cheap way to go down, you know. I mean, especially when you're only going like 10, 15, something like that. It's just crazy. It's just a cheap way to go, you know. I mean, especially after back in like summer of '98, I blasted a deer on my '95 ZX6R going 120 and managed to keep her upright because of the momentum and, you know, whatever, you know, you live to ride another day, I suppose. Anyhow, thanks for listening, folks. Take care.